Hey YouTube, here's a quick little video of me changing the spark plugs on Hans. Trying to make sure that he runs good and strong with the JB4 on there. And this is just going to be kind of a vlog of what I used. It's not really a how-to. You can kind of use it as a start for your own how-to, but I definitely wouldn't only rely on this video. This should be applicable to the C400, 450, and C43 AMG. So the first thing you're going to want to do is remove all the plastic coverings and the air boxes from the front, right? So this plastic covering, you can just grab it firmly and lift up. It should come out. Kind of pull that air ram forward a little bit and push it back, and it should pop straight out. And then you've got an E10 Torx right there, screw, that you're going to have to remove. And that is, as you can see as I trace it back, that's the inlet to the turbo from the air filter box right there. That's your air filters. And if you're due for air filter replacement, this is a really good time to do it, because you're going to have to take all of this off and have it all apart anyway. So here is all of it removed. As I said, it's super easy. There's 2 screws, and everything is just lift straight up once those 2 screws are removed. And this gets you access to both engine banks. Now on this engine bank right here, I have the plastic sound deadening removed already. You can see it's still on the right hand side, but this gets you access to the coil plugs, or the coil packs on both sides. You can see that black plastic covering the last 2 coil plugs, coils on the right hand side there. And then I've got some shop towels stuffed in the turbo inlets to make sure that no debris falls down in there, and keeping it good and clean on the turbo inlets. And you can see the ears on the turbo inlets on the right hand side right there. That's what I'm pointing to right there. That is where that E10 Torx head, external Torx head screw, and that's where the other one is on the passenger side. That's the only hardware you have to remove to take the air cleaner assembly off. Everything else just lifts straight up, and comes, it's just a press fit on there. And then, so those little gold copper looking things are the coils, and those I'm pointing to the coil engine harnesses. And you have 2 E8 external Torx 8 head screws that secure the coil to the cylinder head cover there, the valve cover. So pretty straightforward. Once you've got access to it, you just need a ratchet, some external Torx sockets, and you can get to work here. While I'm in here, just as a part of the vlog nature of this, I am going to be connecting the green wire from the JB4. You can kind of see the JB4 harnesses all over the place in there. I haven't taken the time to really zip tie it down in place, because I was kind of waiting to see on whether or not it is actually makes a difference. And if you follow the thread I have on MB World, you'll know that I haven't really seen any change in my drag times. But that could be some adaptative learning issues with the JB4. I haven't given it enough time and kept it on the same map long enough. But this allows the JB4 to control the fuel pressure. Okay, so here we have 1 coil removed, and to get this clip out of here, it's a multi-part process. You're going to pull that little gray tab straight back, and then you got to grasp it very firmly and squeeze it down hard, push it into the coil, and then slide it back out. When they're kind of like under a vacuum, almost vacuum sealed, so when you push it into the coil, it breaks that vacuum. This is the Baum Tools spark plug socket that I ordered. Worked absolutely perfectly. It's got a really good balance of firmness to hold the spark plugs in place, but it slides out really easy. This is the straight version. I didn't realize I needed the swivel head version would be easier to use. This is a set of Tecton eTorx sockets that I used, and that's how those are the main tools I used for this job. Is that E8 and E10 ratchet, or eTorx, and then that Baum Tools swivel socket for the spark plugs. Here's the first spark plug I removed. They wound up looking really good across the board. Hans is in good shape, and there's the brand new NGK spark plug next to it for reference. I bought these off of Rock Auto. I think total it was about $70 shipped with tax to my door for 6 of these spark plugs. And yeah, they're a one-to-one replacement. Here's the complete set of spark plugs. Okay, so talk about once you have the coil out, that's the coil there in front of the 2 cans of cleaner. I take that CRC electric cleaner and I shoot it right into that hole right there and scrape out the old dielectric grease, and I use the CRC dielectric grease to put a nice coating. Those coil packs are really hard to get off, but they go back on deceptively easy once they're nice and lubed. And then, you know, we were talking about this is spark plug reinstallation. You need a torque wrench. So the Mercedes spec is 23 Newton meters. This torque wrench only goes up to 22.6, and that is fine for me because that 23 Newton meters is a dry torque spec, and I use, because I'm old school, I use anti-seize. So you have to back that off about 10% for a wet torque spec. Go slow. And the little bolts that hold the coil packs back in are a 9 Newton meters torque spec. And then just as an aside, I have the stock intake back on. I'm not going to be running the Motorworks as a daily thing. I'm probably going to transport that to the track in the trunk and swap it over there at the track. I just don't trust the Motorworks carbon fiber intake to make a good enough seal at the turbo inlet to protect the turbos with good filtered air. There's just too many mounting problems, and they're just the fitment issues persisted even after I went to a very nice shop down in DC that Motorworks works with to help me with fitment. After I checked on the intake at several times over the course of a couple of weeks, there were multiple times where the intake tube on the driver's side was not making a complete seal, and it was very obvious that unfiltered air was going directly into that turbo. So I will only be using that at the track because it will stay seated for like one run, but it's definitely not a permanent daily driver solution for Hans at this time. So yeah, that's my day in a nutshell here. Got the spark plugs replaced and reverted back to the stock intake and got my green wire set up for fuel monitoring on the JB4.